When you're in the Bronx, you're like stuck in a certain bubble, but when you go to the city where you have kids coming from all over the place with different talents and different, you're like, wow, this really exists. This is really happening.
Today in studio, I've got Luis Damon, who is a respected Latin vocalist, performer, and recording artist with a career rooted in culture, family, rhythm, and storytelling.
I got immediately signed to like Warner Brothers, which was a whole nother, like it just snowballed. This wasn't it wasn't like I planned any of this, and I was always hungry though. My drive was, there was nothing that could stop me from doing what I wanted to do. There are people that are very talented that don't have the same drive as someone who does, and but it's a drive. It's not just about the talent. She looked at me like, what do you mean?
The fuck are you talking
Like she just heard it for the first time. Yo, I've never felt so, embarrassed. I cried like. Can I tell a story with you?
Please.
And these are the type of things that nobody knows of. But I'm gonna tell the story because it happened last year. I was in.
Welcome to another episode of the Real Mentors podcast. Today in studio, I've got Luis Damon, who is a respected Latin vocalist, performer, and recording artist with a career rooted in culture, family, rhythm, and storytelling. His music draws from classic Latin traditions while embracing modern influences, creating a timeless sound that resonates across generations. Growing up in a musically rich environment, he learned early that music could heal, unite, and reflect unspoken emotions. His performances reflect authenticity, passion, and deep cultural pride. With over 30 years in the game, he's now finding himself in a whole new reinvention mode, and I'm excited to tell you all about it and share his story with you. Welcome to the studio, Mr. Luis Damon. How are you, brother?
Thank you, Sean. Thank you for that introduction. It was really fly how you put it together.
Well, I appreciate it. My team, baby. Not me. It's funny, I used to freestyle it, then I said, you know what, let me do my guest right and start to tell this story in more of an honorable light. And we talked about it before we started rolling, which was, we all have so much to offer the world, but sometimes we take for granted our experiences just being for us. But the truth is, the more that we share it, the more that we are being a light for people that may need it. Now, you've done this in your career with music.
Right.
And I always say, right, no one is sad when they're dancing.
Right.
And you've been able to experience that your whole life. But tell us a little bit about how that started. You're a kid from the Bronx.
Yeah.
Where'd you grow up?
Yeah, Bronx raised, I still live in the Bronx. I'm from, my parents obviously migrated from Puerto Rico, came to New York, went through the public assistance process, because I was part of my growth. But, my dad was a musician. I don't know if I mentioned that, but he was a musician and he recorded his own stuff. But, it wasn't until I was at a certain age that I realized I could even sing at all. I wasn't interested at all in it until I sang in fifth grade, and then it went from 6th to 7th, and I went to LaGuardia High School of Performing Arts because I graduated from there, and that's
what year?
91,
96, baby.
Oh, you're LaGuardia?
Yeah,
oh wow,
saxophone.
Isn't that funny?
Small world.
Who knew? So and that that going to LaGuardia, it expanded my mind a little bit of what could potentially be out there, right? Because when you're in the Bronx, you're stuck in a certain bubble, but when you go to the city where you have kids coming from all over the place with different talents and you're like, wow, this really exists. This is really happening. And so during that time, I was a kid. Obviously, I started doing with the dance music the way everybody else was, to learning the ropes. Eddie Rivera, I don't know if you guys know who Eddie Rivera is.
Of course.
Back then, he was one of my mentors at 14, teaching me the ropes, learning music, getting into the studio, writing. And it snowballed slowly until, it became where I got to record my first single at 19, a dance music song called Should've Never Let You Go. And then through, I did that with Sal and Fever. So it's just a chain of events that happened. And then with the Mark Anthony explosion, they knew that I could sing, and we tried the salsa thing, and I got immediately signed to like Warner Brothers, which was a whole nother, like it just snowballed. This wasn't it wasn't like I planned any of this, but one thing led to the other, and I was always hungry though. My drive was, there was nothing that could stop me from doing what I wanted to do. That's one thing I must say, what I did, forget the talent part of it, it's the drive that I had to want this was beyond, because I wanted it that bad.
And that, believe it or not, that is we were joking about Tony Robbins and Shawnee Robinson and all this. the one thing, you know, that he always stresses is that's the one thing you can't teach, but that's the one thing that takes you anywhere you want to go.
Absolutely. There are people that are very talented that don't have the same drive as someone who does. And but it's a drive. It's not just about the talent. Talent is obviously important, clearly, but the drive and connecting the dots and learning and taking the hits. You know, I signed when I was 23, my first album deal, I wanted to have like a international, it was internationally done. I recorded with Olga Tañón, with Sergio George, with the cream of the crop in this business. I was nominated for Premio Lo Nuestro. Like I did Don Francisco like 3 times. Like it was just, I did all this, right? So, but it was to me, I would look at it like college. I had to get in,
right?
You know, so I knew that when I signed, there's gonna be some, I had to do what they wanted me to do. That's the only way you get into the school. Like, all right, you got to get in.
Right.
And once you're in,
good grades.
Correct. And so you play the game. You learn. Realizing that you're not getting what you deserve, but it's okay because this is all part of a bigger picture down the line. Obviously, things happen in time. I recorded 3 albums, Latin salsa albums back then. Charted. Did the whole touring thing. The fans but again, this is school for me. This is me going to school, learning, understanding right after I left high school. And then I moved to Puerto Rico for a couple of years because then I went through a phase where I needed to make a change because I knew that the genre was shifting.
Right.
So I got the opportunity to be part of Some by Four. I don't know if you know that group, Some by Four.
Yeah.
Yeah, so when Angel left, they replaced me with him. There's footage on that stuff now. This is all documented.
They'll be digging it up,
This is all documented. I can send you stuff. And then we did that for a little bit, right? But I didn't realize that when I moved to Puerto Rico and I was brought in, that there was a lot going on that I wasn't aware of. Like there was a fight between the labels and the name and the this and that. I'm like,
you just wanted to do music.
I just wanted to make it happen. I didn't really think about that part of it because it wasn't in my DNA to think about. And long story short, was in Puerto Rico 3 years. I got to a point where I was like, you know what? I got to come back to New York. 9/11 had happened.
Mm-hmm.
The musical landscape changed, right? It started leading the way for the reggaeton and the bachata, the Romeo Santos. So now I'm back in New York. I'm like, what do I do? After all these years being on my own, traveling the world, and I got to start from scratch. Got an apartment. But I quickly, because I'm from a Bronx, I know how to survive. I don't, I know how to shift and adapt to the environment. My first job coming back was a Cablevision customer service person, just to get myself. I didn't have a resume.
Right.
I didn't have a resume. I didn't have I was doing music all these for the past 10 years, and then one thing led to another. Got it into a relationship. Had a child, got married. I'm growing in that world, getting going up in jobs, jumping from job to job, but always moving forward.
Yeah, you're moving forward.
Moving forward, whatever that was. I always did the music quietly, but it was always, this is my priority.
You had to take care of the bills. You had to take care of life. Now the kids,
now I have
marriage.
Correct.
Right, that's the priority now.
What happens? You devote yourself to that life part, and then life as it has it gives you a big shocker. Go through a divorce,
right?
Which is what the biggest trauma, I guess, that I've had in my life. Aside, I went through multiple close people that passed away that I was like, I thought they were going to last forever. Right. And you have this sense of life of like, well, wow, this is not what I thought. Like you're trying to do everything right. You're trying to work your way through, but you don't realize you don't have control of certain things as you get older, right? And so, because of the circumstances of the divorce, I went through a deep depression. I had to keep a smile going while trying to take care of my daughter. I had to, like I always say this term, right. I had to swallow rusty screws, right? Just to because I had a daughter, I had to make sure that she was okay, and whatever I did not affect her. Right. So because I was conscious of that, I had to swallow a lot of things, my pride, my this, my that.
It's obviously the things that happen in a relationship falls out.
Correct.
But then, I can't imagine how awkward or how tough that is to not bring that pain into the relationship you have with your daughter. So, we do the best that we can. I think I just posted something yesterday. It was like, we do the best that we can with what we got. And so did your parents, no matter how fucked up they were, and so on and so forth. But if you decide to hold on to that, then that's on you.
Correct. And so that happened, but we did such a good job that thank God that this part did not affect my child.
Kudos.
Which she had no idea what was going on, and what was going on internally with me and how I had to cope with certain things on my own and figure out myself. And with that obviously came therapy, a closer, certain circle that I had to reset my circle of friends that were around me at a certain time. I had to do a lot of things to just get me back to a place that I knew I could get to in time, but it took me years.
Let's talk about the therapy part of it, because I think when we come from poverty, number one, no matter where you come from, there's a certain amount of chaos and dysfunction that we consider to be normal, which is completely unnormal. The good majority of people, unfortunately, don't unlearn it, and they'll just pass down a watered-down version to their kids. But you were actively trying to unlearn this and reestablish new behaviors, and it took you years.
It took me a long time because we're stuck on our ways. There's a selfishness to the way we think sometimes. We think we have it figured out. We don't want to get the help that we think we don't need at the time because we don't.
It's the stem. It's not me.
Yeah. It's, you blame until you get to a point where it's like, why do I still feel what I feel and this emptiness? I couldn't understand it. It took me a long time to really get therapy. And once I started going through it, I started realizing, you know what? There's a lot of things that I know I did wrong, and I started accepting certain things. And I had to, you self-reflect, and they show you things that you're like, wait a second, this could have been avoided. There's certain things that I could have done differently that probably could have changed certain narratives, not all of it, but enough to not get to the dark place that I was at, because I was in a very dark place. And so it took me, time to process and learn and realize, you know what, you can't control everything. You can only do what you can do. You can just put out what you could put out, but the world's going to receive it the way they're going to receive it, regardless of what it is. And so
that's mastery, is understanding that and not letting it change you. So like you talk about a dark time in your life, and I don't want to dive into the details of it, but as a performer, as an entertainer, was your work stagnant at this point, or are you still trying to make music, and is the music reflecting that darker part of you?
So that's a wonderful good question, because I learned that my pain, I channel it differently. So whether it means I throw myself into work, make it flourish, whether it's getting to a project, make it right, or take a song from nothing and make it grow. Like, so I've learned that whatever I'm going through, whatever it is, it could be a song, it could be through pictures, it could be through videos. I've learned to channel that pain, whatever the pain is, because I don't cry. I'm not a crier. I don't pity myself. But I know that pain has to go somewhere. And I've learned that pain I channel it differently. I channel it through performance. I channel it through creation of music, through whatever the instance is, whether it's a job, making that job go, that energy and that pain, and that's what's made it go. Which is, I found that fascinating after a while, because it happened when, I'm gonna give you an example. I never knew about video editing and I had bought a camera, Canon, my first camera, D something. I bought it just to take pictures of my kid. When my best friend passed away, when I say a female, she died of cancer. Her name is Vivian, may she rest her soul. She passed away. I took that moment, that pain, and I started documenting the whole experience of her being in the hospital, the people that visit her, the whole thing. I documented and I did a full-blown video of a 5-part movie of her life.
Oh, wow.
Never done that in my life. But I knew that pain that I was going through had to go somewhere, and it became, I channeled it differently.
Like an outlet.
Yeah, it was an outlet.
So creativity as an outlet for you, even in these dark times, where does that come from? Is that from childhood? Is this something maybe, and again, I'm just throwing fucking sticks to the wall here, but is that something that you had to go to as a kid? Maybe you saw some things, felt some things that made you uncomfortable, or had to experience some things, and then, this was your reprieve. Like, I could go to my music, I could go to my pen, I could go to the studio.
I think again, I didn't realize since I was much older that this was a thing for me and how I handled it. I think when I'm put in a corner, like in a place where I'm being cornered or something's uncomfortable situation, I flip it and no. This is not how the narrative is going to change. I'm going to, you could change the narrative. I can change a negative situation into a positive somehow. And I've learned based on how you react is the result you're going to get back. Right. And so I had to, I didn't know that when I was younger, when I was going
None of us do.
It was as you get older, you start reflecting, you're like, wait a second, like what's going on here? And that's what happened. And that's what happens now moving forward. Everything I do, I process everything, and I'm zoning in on that more and more as I reinvent myself the way
and you're not reacting.
No.
Because you're wise enough to know, okay, the reaction is going to probably be bad.
Correct.
It's going to be a reflection of the kid or the bad habits I had. So let me
step back. Let me let it play out a little bit. Let me just process what's going on, no matter what it is, because I've been thrown. The things that have been thrown at me, even recently, you would be like, wow, how does he? But I have to swat. As you got to put your big boy pants on and say, this is part of the process. This is part of the growth. Can I share a story with you?
Please.
And these are the type of things that nobody knows of. But I'm gonna tell the story because it happened last year. I was invited to Puerto Rico, right, to sing the duet with La India. The one song. I was invited by the town of Las Piedras. I was like, look, make sure she's cool with it. Make sure everything's good, and we lock it up. Pay me with the flight. No, Louis, we confirmed everything is good. I'm super excited. Super, super, super excited. I go, prepping myself quietly, getting to I'm not sharing this with nobody because I didn't want to spoil I didn't want to say, because, until it's not done to me, nothing's done.
Yeah.
Nothing is done until it's done and it's complete and it's out there.
Right.
If it's not out there, it's still in the process. Right? It's not even, don't even talk about it.
Especially in your industry. So many things
could go left.
And they have nothing to do with you.
I've learned that.
The business of it.
So what happens? I go to Puerto Rico. The mayor receives me. Everyone is really nice to me. We get to the town, the patronales in Las Piedras. India's coming. They don't lose. When India comes, come to the cabina. We're going to talk. I have no reason to think there's nothing wrong, right? I come in. She comes in, shows up. They call me in. Luz, come inside. I go inside. Hey, India, how are you? How you been? So in that conversation, somebody else, yes, Luis, you're going to do the duet with him. She looked at me like, what do you mean?
The fuck are you talking
like
about?
She just heard it for the first time. Yo, I've never felt so, one, embarrassed. Two, this is the worst case scenario that I was trying to avoid, because I normally don't do that, right? Unless I speak to the artists themselves. I normally don't throw myself like that. But they gave me no reason to believe other than this is, we're talking about the mayor and the town and this is all legit. But I saw her reaction, like she heard it for the first time. I looked at her. I said, it's okay. Don't worry about it. It's not I'm dying inside. But I played it so cool that because I don't know who dropped the ball or what happened. Right. It's too late. It ain't happening. So I'm not gonna, don't worry. I brushed it off like it wasn't a big deal. It's like, I went and I left. I went home and I cried like a little. Not because I wanted, it's just the sheer embarrassment that I had to go through, knowing that I was trying to avoid that.
Right.
And I couldn't, right? They still paid me. They apologized 1,000 times. That wasn't the point. The point was that I did everything I could to try to avoid that. I thought I did. It still wasn't. Fast forward. This was in December. A month later, I get a flyer out that I'm opening up for her in Lehman College. Just so that you see how the world.
Oh, shit. Yeah.
And I opened, phenomenal show. She was like, she gave me a shout out. But the point I'm trying to make is that I could have overreacted. I could have, taken this to the wrong place unnecessarily. I don't know who dropped it. It doesn't matter. It's not the point. And I'm not pointing fingers.
No, for sure.
It is, but it's one of those things that you like, wow, like I had to swallow that by myself and deal with that pain, because that was pain. Not because, it was pain that I'm not used to, that type of pain. But anyway.
Because you felt small.
Bro,
and this is somebody you admire. We all admire. We all grew up with. And even more so you. Like I'm a kid from the Bronx. I grew up in passing La India, sure.
This was a dream. These are bucket list things. Like there's certain things you want to do as a vocalist. India, singing the duet, it's one of those things, I
remember she was performing over there because I went to see I Like It Like That last year over in Lehman, and they always have such great shows.
So I opened up for a different It's unbelievable show. But it gave me reason to understand, you know what? Things happen for a reason, and
they always do, my brother. So kudos to you for handling that like a champ, even though your pride was fucking stepped on and then thrown out the window of a moving car. But you know what? That is life. You handled it like a champ, and you know what? That's all we can do is kind of deal with the hand that's been dealt, and you know, it doesn't get easier. Our ability to handle it just gets better, right? So you talk about, you know, now some of the transitions that you're probably experiencing problems because we're moving into a new age. You talked about, you know, the Mark Anthony era and then moving to bachata and then obviously reggaeton and where it's at now.
Now social media is involved. Now AI is involved. Now, so it's like, okay, so now you have to, how do you fit in this new environment? And so slowly, I decided a couple of years ago back to say, you know what, let me get back into this. I got, my head is a little more clear. The therapy, I feel like I've let go of a lot of internal things that I needed to release, and my headspace was better. I could feel it. I could tell based on how I was reacting to certain things. And when I realized that, I said, you know what? Let me put my head back into this music thing. And 2 years ago, I went to a studio with a friend. I said, look, let's get in the studio and start making this noise again. And little by little, started again. I write my own songs, do my own videos. Because I went to college, I went to high school. I already went through the process. I know.
Right.
You get where see where I'm going. I took the experiences of what I've learned in the past, and now I'm applying it like if I was that. You know, like that. This is the product. Luis Damon is the product. How do I get this product from here to here, little by little? Right. You know,
you now own your brand. You own your music. You own your sound, your vibe, everything.
Everything I do myself. I don't have, you know, a team. Everything you see, it's all me. The videos, the concepts, I with a light, with camera, like I'm in the background, micing people. That's what I got to do,
right?
Because that's part of my reinvention and part of my new, you know, thing. So what's happening now? It's wonderful because I'm starting to see the shift, the change, and people starting to understand. Okay, wow, this guy's like a one-man machine. Obviously, I can't do it by myself.
No,
I have help.
Of course you need a team.
The point I'm trying to make, but
you're owning your brand. You're owning everything, and I think that's what people don't see is that it's never been easier to take control of your life and your brand as far as it goes in terms of business, because the phone, the internet, social media, everything has empowered you.
Right.
But you can choose to look at it two ways. The immature version of a person is usually blaming or
right.
There's so many people online. How am I going to stand out? Nobody's going to listen to me. And you've been through the corporate structure. You've been through your shit in life. And now you come out the other side and you're like, wait, I got complete control over the message that I want to put out into the world. So what is that message? What are we going to see coming from you? What are some of the things you're working on? I know you got some exciting projects that you're telling me about. Yeah, I'm very excited because, you know, slowly I've been, you know, I don't know if you guys follow me, but I have this fedora thing that I have, you know, I'm very thing on fedoras and the look and the vibe, but I'm really excited about this project that I'm working on. And he wears Yankee hat to it.
Yeah.
Keep it Bronx, baby.
There's this project that I'm working on with Frankie, Negron, and Papote, Jimenez. These are these two New York-based salsa guys that are, first of all, they're my friends, and second of all, we are, you know, what I'm trying to accomplish is bring that excitement back to New York in a different way, the way it was in the 90s, right? Back in the 90s, there was, when you had Copa, 1,000 people just showing up. And so we started this project. It's, when I tell you the video's coming out in January, it's very fresh. I just wrote a track for it, doing the music for it. We just did our first kind of like, because we were recording the video and we did it in this place in New York. And I felt when us three got on, you know, when you know electricity, you like, there's something special here.
Yeah, you can feel it.
I knew. I said, wait a second, we got to feed this. This is what makes sense right now. So I'm gonna move forward with that project with Papote and Frankie. It's the song is called Calle y Diamantes. It's the video's coming out. We're gonna showcase it in January. We're gonna do a show for it, and then from there we're gonna build and start doing shows together.
Okay.
You know, and like make it like a rap pack type of thing where you know, each one has their own identity, but when we get together, this is like something special, something different.
Now, admittedly, I'm a New York Dominican Puerto Rican who grew up with Morenos, so I don't even speak fluent Spanish, but salsa was always played in the house.
Correct.
I mean, who was it? Willie Colon, El Gran Combo, all the, I mean, what is it? Fania All Stars.
Yeah.
Everybody, records. Now, we saw salsa was an extension of jazz, and I mean, 70s, 80s, and then shifted, we have freestyle, and then, we have Mark Anthony, but salsa kind of never, it just never was what it was. And then, you have people, especially in Northeast and Latin communities, that are always going to embrace salsa.
Correct.
And then obviously that goes to all Latin nations. But then recently, we've got Bad Bunny.
Correct.
Re-embracing
Correct.
the Latin roots, Puerto Rico, New York. I mean, all in one big soup and bringing that back from the dead almost. Is this a result of that? People wanting more of that?
So yes, there's a momentum happening. And you have to capitalize on that momentum.
Absolutely.
And what a lot of people don't understand, there's different levels of salsa. There's different layers. There's different styles. And it's, for example, there's a New York style salsa that's Mark Anthony, India, DLG, like that crossed over. There's a sound. There's a sound that's from New York.
Yes.
I think we lost that in a while, and that's what I'm trying to bring somewhat back in a newer time, in a newer generation.
Of course.
For the newer kids, right? For the newer generation, which I think with Frankie and Papote, we have all those ingredients to make it happen. Because I've seen it. I've seen it done in the past, and I'm like, through experience and through understanding how this works, through the momentum, it's just a matter of and just the sheer excitement that's happening when us three. Because listen, I was test running it. I wanted to see how people would react. And I'm realizing, okay, this is where I gotta go. And you gotta, and we haven't even done anything yet. So that's how I know. You're like, wait, this is special. I could tell through my social media and how people are reacting, reposting, and they want to see something different and special. And again, it can be Americanized. It doesn't necessarily need to be, salsa's a jazzy. I could sing in English. We could do whatever we want. Right. And the thing with me, Papote, and we're like crooners. We could sing a salsa record, but I could also sing you a ballad like you would not believe.
Right.
So it doesn't necessarily have to stay in the salsa realm, but that's the base.
Now let's dive into the business of it. For someone who's an independent artist in a not necessarily lucrative genre like salsa, what are some of the things you've done to embrace technology and capitalize on the fact that you now own your message and you can brand it and collect on it?
So everything is, I have my YouTube channel, I have my YouTube Core where I upload the songs, and have my publishing company I'm an established writer. It's not like I've gotten checks from stuff that I've done in the past. Right. It's not like we just started this. I do feel like I need to get better at the AI part, because that'll make it connect a little more and make it work toward your advantage, which I still have to get a little more familiar with it. I'm asking my man, Max. You know Max?
Yeah. That's the boy, man?
Yeah.
Who, Max who?
Max Domino,
no.
Mighty Max.
No, I don't know Mighty Max.
All right. Anyway, I gotta, talk to him, because, I know there's so many more tools that I'm not using that I can use.
Well, I would say you do what you do best, and you let somebody who can do that best kind of do it for you.
Well, that's the goal, right? But I want to make sure that because I can't do it. It's too much.
There's no value to you learning that. Your time's better spent doing what you do, which is music and writing. Yeah. It's going to yield a better result. It's going to yield more money. It's going to yield more impact, and the whole nine. So let's dive into the future for you. What do you see in terms of this? I like that New York style, like salsa rap pack. That's pretty dope.
No, but that's exactly what it is. When the video comes out and you see the story, you're gonna see the visuals, and you see it's gonna put two and two together and say, okay, I see where they're going with this. Right. And it's more relatable. It's not like a salsa traditional thinking. No, this is more like regular Bronx, New York. Like, I'm from the Bronx. This kid is from Lower East Side, and this other guy's from Newark, New Jersey. Right. And we just happen to be doing salsa.
Right.
And so you're going to see that play out in the video. And that's going to be the first sign of where we're trying to take this, and at least, and build from that.
So you guys are creating your own type of new age salsa sound now, and you're having fun doing it, right?
Yeah,
because
it's definitely fun.
You're not having to fit the mold of a record deal anymore.
It's not forced. No one's making us do anything. Now people are eyeing it. It could tell people want to get involved and take it further. I get it, because that interest is going to come. I know how this game works. So,
but when they see that, everybody, nobody cheers you on until they see it can work.
Yeah.
And when they see it can work, they be like, I knew you could do it. How can I help? How can I make money with you?
And I've lived that before in the past, so I know that's what's coming with this, right? I'm fully aware of the next wave of stuff. The part I'm trying to see is how can someone or anyone fit in whatever it is we're trying to do to take it further, right? Because it's all about growth.
Who were some of your early influences? Who were some of the people that you inspired, inspired you? And then did you ever have like a moment where you were like, holy shit, like I'm here with one of my idols?
Oh man, oof. Listen, let me tell you something. As a kid, I grew up on hip hop. I break down. I came through the hip hop. I started that. That's what started. We would put out the pledge on the carpets, and we start throwing down in the streets. That's how I started, right? So I started through that. Then the freestyle era came. That freestyle, and when that came, I could only relate to what I can relate. So I couldn't relate to all of it, but there was this one guy, I don't know, George Lamont, that I said, I see myself doing that. I could see myself through him somehow. He was an amazing vocalist, very ethnic, Bronx, right. Whatever it was. And I got to work with him. We got to do things together as well. So, which was wonderful. Then the Marks, right? I could only relate to what I see myself doing. And then from there on, I did a record with Mark's album. I've worked with Olga Tañón. I don't know if you know who that is, but she's a superstar in the Latin.
Okay.
I worked with El Torito from Los Toros band. I did duets. Yeah, so I've worked with the best Grammy Award winners of this, that, and the other. I got to the Premio Lo Nuestro. I was rubbing shoulders with all these. I'm like, wow. Again, I didn't grow up in the Latin side, so I didn't understand what was happening, but I do know it was big because it felt different. I just know there's this kid from the Bronx who's one day is going to the bodega, his chanclas, right? Till the next day I'm flying to Argentina to do 2 music videos. It was that night to day. It was one of those really quick transitions. It didn't take much.
What is one of your most memorable moments from one of those travels or one of the most beautiful places you were able to go and experience?
Oh, I could tell you 1,000 stories. But aside from one time, I'm gonna tell you this one story. I had this duet that I did with Olga Tañón. Was playing here in New York, La Mega and all that stuff, right? It was playing, banging it out. And my girlfriend used to live at the time used to live in Williamsburg. And I would go visit her, pick her up. I went with a friend of mine. We go up to Williamsburg, and my friend is driving. I'm sitting in the passenger seat, and he rear ends a guy. Boom. Oh, snap. Remember, this is in the peak of me doing shows and stuff like that. Guy comes out, he's fighting, this, that, and the other, and I'm like, it was a bump. It wasn't that serious, right? My friend was nervous. He was like, yo, listen, look, let's be careful. We're not home, and we're not in the Bronx.
We're in Brooklyn.
You were in Brooklyn. And I'm like, bro, you ain't doing nothing wrong. So I come out the car. First of all, I don't do the rah-rah thing. That's not my thing. Right. So I come out and said, look, my man, let the insurance, we'll take care of it. Don't worry about it. This, that, and the other. He was like, nah, but I just got this car, this, that, and the other. He had people in the car with him. I see this girl looking at me. So she comes up to me. She goes, are you Luis Damon? I go, yeah. She goes, I knew it. On my mother, she was going back inside the car. We just listening to your CD in the car. The guy felt terrible.
Right.
A crowd of people starts coming. You know how you hit a car and people just start crowding around?
Right, just nosy.
I was like, like caught me off guard because I didn't see that coming. I was in, I don't process.
You're trying to diffuse the situation.
I'm not even
this pops up.
I'm not even thinking about, but she made us, they came out. Can you sign it? And I'm like, this, it just became something else. And I will never forget that because I'm like, oh, wow, I didn't even know that was like, like how people react to you and stuff like that, because it's not why I do it.
Right.
I don't do it I do it because I enjoy.
It's a byproduct.
Yeah, man. It's just something I enjoyed, but I forget how it might touch someone else. I just don't, I forget about that part.
You take for granted.
Yeah.
So with your music, that's a beautiful moment because it brings us to the point that you're doing something you love, but there's a song that may impact somebody or change their mood or change their life. And I've seen it happen with so many artists where people just latch onto a song and gets them through a moment, gets them through a tough spot.
And that's the part that I've gotten messages in throughout the years of how something may have affect, and it brings me back to that. Wow. I now realize why I enjoy this. I forget.
Right, it's never why you do it, but it's a great byproduct. And man, I gotta tell you, being raised in a house with music, like my wife wasn't, right? Even though she's Dominican, like her parents it was baladas, but it wasn't, music wasn't part of their DNA. So music is always playing in our house. So who's playing it, it's always me. And there's nothing that's more human than music and dancing. And there's nothing more Latin than dancing and enjoying time together and drinks and socializing. And it's just something that a lot of my colleagues don't necessarily embrace or understand because, they don't come from that. But for me, it's, if we hear music and even if I'm at like an event, which is a little more buttoned up or business, I'm bouncing.
Yeah.
And it's just in our blood and in our soul. How have you been able to kind of take music and pass it down? Is this something that, your daughter has embraced? Does she have a musical
So my daughter
inclination?
Does not, but she's artistic, meaning she's creative.
She's a creative, yeah.
She went to LaGuardia as well. She graduated.
Get out of here.
I was shit. Yeah, I helped her.
3 generations, baby.
Yeah.
Well, 2 technically. You only got me by a couple of years.
She is an art major. So I know she has that in her to create and that gift of but no, again, remember when I got divorced, she was 5-6 years old. So,
but it's genetic.
Yeah,
and maybe it didn't show up in terms of music, but
somewhere else.
Creativity.
Yeah. And again, a lot of the stuff that that I don't try to force anything on her. I want to see how driven she is, because no one, drive is everything. Without drive, it doesn't matter.
Nothing else happens.
And that's unfortunately that's a fact.
Yeah.
That's not a
right, because if you're not called to do something or you don't feel uncomfortable enough. Now let me ask you that. Where does your drive stem from?
I don't. You know what's funny? My drive. That's been since I was a kid. You know what happened was when I was younger, I would drive my mom crazy. Trying to get out and trying to learn because they weren't taking me out. They weren't. We didn't have money to do the things, so I had to figure out things on my own. And so that curiosity led to more things. And I was like, wait a second, there's more, and it kept driving me. And so when I realized there was a bigger world out there than what I'm being, unfortunately, not their fault. It's just the circumstance, right? I'm not taking anything away from the love that they show because my parents are amazing. But I realized that's where that hunger came very young. But it was more curiosity at one point. Then it turned when I saw the results. I'm like, wait a second, I got to keep. This is where I got to go. And so that drive never really stopped.
Right, and it never will.
No, and that's what I'm saying. Like it's either you have it or
yeah, you're right. And that's the curse, is understanding that it'll never stop. So you have to keep feeding it.
Correct.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am popping in really quick on behalf of Sean Martin. I'm so excited about his new book release, Beyond the Bronx, where he shares everything in his life from prison to purpose. He's killing it. He's doing amazing things coming from the Bronx and bringing it right back to the Bronx with all his success. I'm sitting next to a salsa legend, Luis Damon himself, and I have just one question for him that Sean allowed me to sit down and ask him is, we just lost a very beyond legendary individual in the salsa culture, salsa industry. He led El Gran Combo for almost 50 years, if not more, Rafael Itier. And my question for you is, did he have an impact on you growing up? Did you ever get to meet him personally? And if so, what was that impact like? And how was your music and your creativity influenced by that?
Absolutely. So Rafael Itier, El Gran Combo, that's in everyone's Puerto Rican DNA. If you're a Puerto Rican, you grew up listening to that. I mean, there's no way there's not a Gran Combo song that you just don't. It's just what it is. It's like an institution. Gran Combo is not just a salsa band. This is like an institution that's been going on for decades. Of course, he's inspired, right? Through the Christmases, that's where you hear the music, the hits that they've always. I've followed them, through changes, the changes of vocalist, each new member, the stories. But that institution has always been intact. Rafael Itier was that person. He's the one who kept it intact all these years because he's the founder, right? He's the founder. I never got to meet him personally, unfortunately, but I do know I have very close friends that work very closely with them, if that makes any sense. So they've always been at my disposal in the sense that if I wanted to, I could have. How that's it inspired? Listen, that happens indirectly, right? That music, because it's played at home by my parents, growing up as a kid, you hear it everywhere in the Bronx. That's like just a staple for Puerto Ricans. It's part of you without you even realizing it's part of you. Like you don't even realize, wow, that's it's like when I went to Puerto Rico for the first time, right? I don't go all the time, but the minute I stepped there, it's like, wow, this is home. This is really home. It's one of those things that it's there. You don't know it's there until something like this happens. It's like, it's there. It's always been there.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I know all the songs you're talking about. They were played when we were cleaning, and you hear it at the Puerto Rican parade. You hear it on any corner in the Bronx on a warm summer day. So it's definitely something beautiful. And yeah, I wish I would have met him. I met a lot of salseros at the salsa festivals, working with Ralphie Mercado. And I've met El Gran Combo, but I never knew when I met them that I wasn't meeting like the pioneer of it. You know what I mean? And so it's unfortunate that I didn't get to meet him, but you know, that's the importance of like valuing and appreciating people while they're here, especially their contributions to culture. And that's something that is a staple in almost any Latino's life. These people, the band has, or the institution, as you say, have and are currently traveling the world. This is a worldwide brand that was envisioned by this man, Rafael Itier.
Absolutely, may he rest in peace. But we celebrate that. We don't, we definitely celebrate him.
Thank you for letting me ask you the question. Ladies and gentlemen, Luis Damon, Sean Martin, thank you so much for allowing me to ask that question, and we are out.
Brother, I want to thank you for coming out today. It's been an honor and a pleasure to get to know you personally because we've, exchanged messages online, and I invited you to come on, and you've been very gracious and sharing your story and your time. But I want you to take the time to tell the audience where they can find out more about you, what you got going on next, and how they can support your mission.
So you could check me out on any social media, Instagram, TikTok. I have a YouTube page, Luis Damon. You're going to be seeing a lot of Luis Damon with this project that I'm doing with Frankie, Negron, and Papote, Jimenez this year. That's going to be very special. Check that out. I'm telling you, I'm not even, like, I know what I may look crazy, but I'm telling you, I know where this is going. Like, I know where momentum is going. It feels right. And that's it. We're just doing things that we love and enjoy, and hopefully I get to see each one of you guys in the future. And Sean, I want to congratulate you on everything you're doing. I started following you, and I'm like, wow, this guy speaks my language somehow. Whatever, you're saying, it resonates somehow. I don't know, it's because we are from the Bronx or we come from certain life, but you are saying it where it can apply to anyone, not just us because we're from the Bronx, right? Or we're Hispanic or whatever the case is. But I do want to congratulate you.
I appreciate the
and congratulations
on
the book.
Thank you. I appreciate it. We got it right here. I'm gonna give him a copy on the way out. Make sure you check out Luis. Make sure you check out all the information in the bio. He's got so much amazing stuff coming up in 2026. Continue to follow us, subscribe, like, and share. As always, let's get it.